Welcome back, everybody, to another week of Game of Thrones Power Rankings. This week's episode, Season 6, Episode 10, The Winds of Winter, and this season's finale episode. With only 2 seasons left, there was a ton that had to go down tonight, and a ton went down. More than I ever could have imagined. All of the theories of Wildfire are true. The Mad Queen, she is here. Cersei Lannister, she is just dropping firebombs all over the place. Oh my gosh. And that was only the first 20 minutes of the episode. And then we had so much more. This was a crazy episode. Probably easily one of the best this season. And for me, one of the top 5 in the entire series. This gives you everything you want from Game of Thrones. Deaths you didn't see coming. Game changers on every level. Things we've been waiting for since before the show even started to find out were finally revealed this episode. Plus we had so many great dialogue scenes. And I'm sorry, but the score leading up to the eventual extermination of the Septon was amazing. Just that piano and the cello and just carrying it through that entire thing and building until boom! That was absolutely amazing and beautiful to watch. I mean, after last week's episode with so much battle, it's amazing that we can go from that to this episode, which is just such almost high art, I want to say. It was really amazing and truly a wonder to behold. So let's just go ahead and get into this, because there's a lot to talk about. And right off the bat, starting in on our death count, this is the largest death count we've had all season, and probably in most episodes, honestly. Starting off our death count, let's start down the list. We have Margaery Tyrell. She's gone. One of the most beautiful dames on the show and smartest, and the Queen of Westeros is dead. Dead, I tell you. And along with Margaery was Loras, King of Knight of Flowers, gone. He's gone. Mace Tyrell, their father, gone. He's not even there anymore. The High Sparrow, yeah, what are these twin pillars of religion? Gone. KEVAN Lannister, LANCEL Lannister. We're talking about 2 very high-profile Lannisters killed by another Lannister. That is absolutely savage. All the Sparrows are dead. A bunch of the residents and lords of King's Landing are dead, all because Cersei Lannister blew up the sept on the date of her trial and just watched it burn with a smile on her face. In, may I say, one of the most beautiful and fitting dresses for this episode and for her character I've ever seen. I was almost in tears just watching everyone get dressed this episode, how much time they put into setting this up, and how big the payoff was. We've been hyping this trial all season, and this is what it comes out to. Absolutely worth it. I'm so glad I stayed on board. The Queen is dead. KEVAN Lannister's dead. The only Lannisters left really now are Tyrion, Jaime, and Cersei. And let's not forget, Tommen killed himself. Perfect end of the story. Oh my gosh. He just topples out the window, and it's Cersei who causes the death of her last child. She has to live with that now. The woman whose entire life was built upon protecting her children, and she just caused her child's death. I mean, she didn't even look happy at the end of the episode when she was finally up there. I mean, she was just... She's lost. She's lost everything. And maybe in a way that is something that can set her free, because now this prophecy that's been weighing over her since she was a child and talked to that witch in the woods is finally gone, and she can finally live her life forward and not have to worry about things that have already been foretold. So, more on this death count. Oh my gosh. Pycelle was also killed. The Grand Maester of King's Landing was shivved by a bunch of little kids. And Qyburn. Oh my gosh. That was insane. I mean, the things you can do with little kids and some plums. My goodness. Lancel got stabbed. They apparently set up this whole explosion. I mean, they stabbed the heck out of Pycelle. And honestly, it was probably past Pycelle's time. He's a little long in the beard. As Qyburn said, you gotta make way. You gotta move the old out to make way for the new. He had his funny moments. He was really just a pawn for Cersei for so long, and just really a degenerate from start to finish. But we lost so many people in King's Landing in such a short time. The Queen's gone. Margaery's gone. We'll never see her again. It turns out she did not have a plan. All this time, all the little flowers she wrote, she gave to Elena. I thought she maybe had a plan, that she wasn't just giving everything up. No, turns out she just totally misunderestimated the High Sparrow, just like Cersei did, but she didn't have the whatevers to finish the job like Cersei did. I don't know who does. Not a lot of people can pull that off. Oh my gosh. Loras is gone. I'm sad we didn't really ever get to see a ton from Loras, honestly. Mace is gone. He was hilarious. Nothing more. High Sparrow. Everything went up in flames, literally. He had a great plan. He was in the most position of power, and he basically achieved his goal. But, like Cersei did with him, he underestimated her violence, like she underestimated his religious zealots. Just amazing. A crazy episode that killed so many. And guess what? The list isn't even done. Next up on the death count, we have Walder Frey. I don't even know where to start with this one. I'm incredibly conflicted with Walder Frey because on one hand, it's awesome to see Arya being a ninja assassin and taking her face off and making him eat his kids like Eric Cartman on South Park. I love her line when she's talking to him. The last thing that he'll ever see is a Stark smiling down at him, and then she slits his throat just like what happened to Catelyn. All of that was awesome. It was so cool to see. The problem is, why did it happen this episode? What in the world is going on? She was in Bravos in season 6, episode 8, and now she's already all the way here. She's in the freaking Riverlands. She's at the Twins. Are you serious? Like, first off, this episode had a ton of this. I don't know. All sorts of teleporting was going on, especially with Varys, but there was just too much of it, and it was crazy. I mean, earlier in this episode, they were having a feast with all the Walder Freys and all the Lannisters, and then the next time we check in on him, he's in an empty room. Completely empty. Okay, alright, that's weird. He's just eating his food. Alright, okay. And then Arya takes off the mask, and I'm like, wait, she can do that? I thought you had to, like, bring the faces with you. Like, can she just do that whenever she wants now? Can she just put a face on, like, out of her pocket? Like, how does this work? We still don't know. We spent 2 seasons there. We still don't know. Honestly, everything that happens in Arya's storyline now, I'm really having trouble believing it. Even when she was slitting Walder Frey's throat, all I was thinking was, is that Arya? Is that Arya Stark? Who is that? I can't believe anything that happens in her storyline anymore. I mean, this has been a thing that a long time fans have been just wanting this to happen. Like, oh my gosh, I want Arya to go assassin and kill Walder Frey. And I was like, yes, I totally want that. But to just throw it at us right there, like, it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel right. I don't understand how she did it. You're telling me she killed the Freys and cooked them and kept that all under wraps and then cleared the entire room and then made him eat them and then stabbed him and had the face and everything and got there in time. All of that? Really? I'm mostly surprised she wasn't in Winterfell by the end of the episode after I saw that. I don't understand anything that's happened to Arya since the second half of the season. I've been totally on board with her, and now I'm lost. I'm completely lost with her. It was really cool to see, but wouldn't you have actually wanted to watch her do it? Wouldn't you have wanted to see her go into the Twins and be like, alright, what's my plan? I gotta track him. I gotta watch him. What have I learned? Alright, this is what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna do this to get behind him. I'm gonna find him in his weak moment, and I'm gonna kill him, and it's gonna be awesome. No. We just get it. They just gave it to us. Like, there has to be some setup for it to feel actually earned. You can't just say, here, fans, I know you really want this, so here it is. Here it is. There you go. This was not the time for this. It kind of makes me freak out and not even understand the rules of anything she can do now. If she can do that, she can do anything. I mean, the next season might start with her slitting Dany's throat on a boat and then slipping back in the ocean, because I don't understand the rules to her anymore at all. Anyways, that was my little rant on Arya. You'll probably hear more of it when we get to her on the list. Next on the death count, we have Walder Frey's sons that she made him eat or something. I've seen the episode twice. I still don't really get what was in that pie. Whatever, though. I've seen South Park, so I figured it out. And finally on our death count, a pseudo-death this episode, because it was in Bran's flashback, Lyanna Stark, and who we now know to be the mother of Jon Snow. Oh my gosh, it felt so amazing to finally get this scene we've been waiting for so long, and it paid off in such a beautiful and emotional way. It's the exact opposite of Arya killing Walder Frey. It's something we've been wanting for a long time, but they knew, alright, we can't just give it to him. We have to build it up. We have to show him the fight earlier. We have to cut back to this finally after so much time. We have to actually do it with some integrity. We have to make it actually matter. And that's what they did a great job of. It's awesome that R plus L equals J is finally confirmed. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rhaegar's the dad. They didn't say it there, so I guess there's still a little bit of mystery. But, I mean, come on, guys. But Lyanna Stark, didn't see her for long, but she played a huge role in the series. And first up on our honorable mentions is all the Greyjoys, sort of. We've got Yara, we've got Theon, we've got Euron. They're all in the mix. They've all got some boats. We finally got it. Oh my gosh, this episode had so much of things we've been waiting for so long. R plus L equals J, the Frey death, and now Daenerys on boats, finally. Thank you, Yara. Thank you, Theon. We're finally getting across that sea. Maybe we'll even get something in their way, a little obstacle named Euron. I don't know. These guys are mainly on the honorable mentions now because we're kind of running out of characters fast, you guys. I mean, I just bled through half my honorable mentions this episode, not to mention we had 2 or 3 people on the list who died. So all the Greyjoys are at the top of that honorable mentions right now. They all deserve a spot. Theon's really been with the show so long, I just realized it's crazy that he's one of the few people who are still alive, even though it did kind of cost him an important piece of tool. Euron's around now. He looks like maybe the new big bad after Ramsay's gone, although Cersei's clearly staked out some land there. And, yeah. Next on our honorable mention, someone we haven't seen in a long while, but hopefully we'll get a reconnection with at some point, Jorah Mormont, the uncle, father, whatever, of Lyanna Mormont. Jorah's off looking for a cure somewhere. Hopefully he raids some of Stannis' dungeons in Dragonstone, because I don't know where he's going to get it. I'd love to see him find that cure, though, because Jorah's awesome, and I really don't want to see him go yet. Also in our honorable mentions, Qyburn, the master of whisperers and all sorts of evil science and whatever else you want him to do. He really is one of the most sinister characters on screen. I mean, from his robes to his hair to his ominous line reading, everything he does is in the service of evil and chewing scenery, and he does a fantastic job of it. And at this point, he's one stab away from the throne. I mean, he's right there with Cersei, but you can be damn sure that he pulled a lot of those strings. He was the one who knew the rumor about Wildfire. He's the one who brought back Robert Strong. He's the power behind a lot of Cersei's punches at this point. So, along with those little kids who stabbed the hell out of Pycelle, I don't know what this guy's capable of, and it's honestly even more scary than what Varys could be up to with all of his whispers. And finally, on our honorable mentions, Gilly and Gilly's huge ass baby. Gilly finally arrived at Old Town with Sam. So did her huge baby, who should maybe be walking by now. They still didn't answer my question. I still don't know where she's staying or what she's gonna do. I mean, she was in the lobby. Sam was looking at some dope books. And then we stopped. So maybe she'll sleep in the lobby or in the streets. I mean, they didn't clear it up. He didn't ever have another conversation about it. So they left it up in the air. I mean, you can't have the season finale wrap up everything, and that's probably the least interesting part of everything, so I'll let it slide. But they're on the honorable mentions, and congratulations to them. And last on our honorable mentions, Benjen Stark. This one hurt me. This one hurt me a lot. I didn't want to take him off the list. I love Benjen. He looked even more amazing this episode. The makeup was on point. The effects blended perfectly. He really does look half White Walker, half human. I loved it. But the revelation that he can't go south of the wall really hurt. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see some kind of solo adventures of Benjen north of the wall, and he's just meeting up with dire animals and warging around and having adventures and stopping the Night's King. But that's not this show. And what that means to me is that we're not going to get very much of him from now on, which really sucks because we just met him. He had one action scene and one dialogue scene, and then he's dropping Bran off at a tree and taking off. That's a bummer. Why bring him back? Just to be an ex machina in that one moment? I hope we get to see some more stuff from him, because otherwise, blech. Now let's get into this list. Starting off at number 20, an old-timer who's been on the list before and fallen off since and is back now, Davos Seaworth. Davos had a huge emotional moment this week, and I really felt for him. He was in tears, accusing Melisandre of burning Shireen at the stake, and she kind of got off easy for it. I mean, she certainly didn't get off as easy as she possibly could, because Jon kicked her out of the army, told her to ride south, and Davos is like, don't you ever come back, I'll finish you myself. I really felt for him there, and I'm happy that he got some kind of justice, although maybe not the kind he wanted, but maybe the kind he'll get in future episodes. Anyways, he's still alive and he's still with Jon, so he's in a pretty good spot for the upcoming seasons, and that's Davos at number 20. Right above him at number 19, someone who's also been on the list and fallen off before and is back again, Samwell Tarly, finally arriving in Old Town, one of the most beautiful cities in Westeros, and that's saying something. He got to go into the Citadel and deal with a super grumpy clerk. He got to see all the books, one of the most amazing scenes in Game of Thrones. They really outdo themselves, and he was in tears too. This was really for a different reason than Davos. He was just so overjoyed, and we just really got to hope that they've got a section of bookshelves marked off that are all in white parchment that got some stuff to learn about the winter and about the White Walkers, because Sam may become one of the most important characters in the show very soon, especially now that he's arrived at the Citadel. Coming in at number 18, you know you want her, you know you need her. First time on the list, Lyanna Mormont. The pint-sized badass is back. And after her introduction, I was hesitant to put her on the list. I was like, well, is she really going to be able to have that much of a say in this world of adults? I was dead wrong. And I justified it this week by putting her on the list and jumping Davos and Sam. I mean, the speech she gave to them, some of those northern houses, just calling people out. Your dad was flayed, and yet you sit here like a dummy. All that kind of stuff. I mean, she convinced Lord Glover to change sides, and he was the saltiest of everyone. I'm just glad Santa didn't speak up. He might have changed his mind. But she went a long way into getting Jon to be that king of the north. And she really is just amazing. I can't believe I underestimated how much use she would be given to, but she's been given the smallest scenes, the smirk to Ramsay, just walking around the camp, the awesome introduction of her on Bear Island, and now this. I couldn't ignore her, especially after some spots opened up, and she definitely earned this spot, and somehow she's become one of my favorite characters in just so little time at all. She's awesome, and she deserves it, and I want more. And coming in at number 17 is the Mountain. The Mountain, who lived through all the mayhem in King's Landing, luckily, because he was on the evil side, I guess you could say, of that battle. But the Mountain also kind of showed his face, kind of, sort of. Thought we were going to see more, didn't really see more. He looks pretty good. He's got like this blue tint. His face is all messed up. He's got scars and patches and all sorts of stuff just coming off. And then that was it. We just saw him in one little shadow. And then they cut to him from the back, and he's a white guy. What? Are you telling me he's wearing like a blue mask on the front of his face? What was that? Come on, you gotta pay for the entire can of paint. You can't just lay off on the back. I really would have liked to see even more of his face. Just once, that's it, never again. Or you could just show us a tiny little bit of shadow. Anyways, the Mountain was awesome, as usual, very imposing. Stopped Tommen from going to that trial. Did a real crappy job of stopping him from jumping out that window. But other than that, he's still alive. Can't fault him for that. It's pretty hard to do in King's Landing nowadays. And coming in at number 16 is Sansa Stark. Now, there was a ton of controversy this last week about Sansa and about how she betrayed Jon, possibly, and didn't tell him about the Knights of the Vale. And they wrapped that up and had a good moment of finally addressing it in this episode. Wait, no they didn't. They let her off the hook. They completely let her off the hook. She literally just said, "I'm sorry," and Jon was like, "It's okay. People just died. Only thousands of people died. It's cool. Just don't do it again, okay? Please, because I almost suffocated. Please don't do it again." All right. And she's like, "Okay, Jon." Sometimes I don't even know. So she pretty much had no repercussions for that. But I did like that she finally is realizing only a fool would trust Littlefinger, and I thought she handled him very well in the next scene where he pretty much laid it all out for her. He wants to be on the Iron Throne, he wants her at his side, and she said no. She straight stopped him mid-kiss. And then, to top it all off, her brother starts being all this King of the North stuff, and Littlefinger's not happy about that. So Sansa ended up moving up 4 spaces this week, partially due to her own, partially due to the fact that Jon didn't seem to care that she caused thousands of death in his army, and because Littlefinger got totally handled by her, and she finally kind of figured out how to do that, how to merge being a Stark with being a Littlefinger type of person. And coming in at number 15, Bran Stark! We gotta see some more Bran this week. How cool is that? Finally, we got a little bit more of him. It was a total bummer to see Benjen go, though. I don't know what Bran's gonna be doing until next season. Is he just gonna, chill north of the Wall? Is he gonna go south of the Wall? Can he go south of the Wall? Whatever, as long as he's close to a tree, that's all he really needs. Just build him a little lean-to next to that tree and he'll be good. But Bran moved up 3 spots, thankfully, because he finally gave us what we all wanted. He finally gave us R plus L equals J. Thank you, Bran. Thank you very much. All this is finally worth it because you finally gave us the true parentage of Jon Stark. And that was just a great scene to see. Seeing young Ned Stark again was awesome. I really liked that actor, and he plays him well, and he looks the part. He looks great. The scene with Lyanna was incredibly moving. They did a great job of showing visually what was happening, and that was actually Jon Snow. That was an awesome transition from baby to Jon. Just realizing the full potential of Jon Stark at this point, and finally bringing him to the forefront of his own story. So thank you very much, Bran. And right above Bran at number 14, the biggest drop, other than deaths, on this list this week, Olenna Tyrell. The last Tyrell? I may be wrong, but there ain't that many others, certainly not on screen. It's basically just her. And she can't have any more babies, and she doesn't have any heirs. Like she said, Cersei took the future from her. And I had to penalize her for that. And she didn't stop it from happening. All of those things adding up together really hurt Olenna. What does she have now? She has the rest of her life, and then her family will be erased from the history books. It's literally, that's it. It's it. And all her family died. Her daughter, or her granddaughter, her grandson, her son, her husband? I've never been clear, but Mace Tyrell's a dummy. But he's dead, is what I'm trying to get at. And it's just absolutely devastating for her, and definitely dropped her down the list, which I doubt she even cares about at this point. Right above Olenna at number 13, Arya Stark. Now, I've already had my little rant on Arya. I did move her up 2 spots because if that is Arya, which I still am not even sure anymore because I don't know what's true and what's not after the last couple episodes with her. Because if that was actually Arya Stark, she accomplished one of her goals. She wrote off another name on that list, so I moved her up 2 spots. If that was true, she's the best assassin I've ever seen. She cleared out an entire hall with 2 different kinds of forces. All of his kids managed not to see her, and then she killed 2 of his kids, cooked them up, and fed them to him, and killed him. So she can do anything. She can kill anyone from anywhere at any point. At this point, she's basically just a cheat code for the show. And you know what I just realized about Arya? That serving maid who was staring at Jaime, that was Arya. So she's really not that great of an assassin even. Look at her drawing attention to herself. And then the very next scene, she does the most perfect assassination mission I've ever seen. If this was Splinter Cell, it would have taken me 50 tries to kill Walter Frey. She does it just like that, with barely any training, and all because she knows how to fight in the dark. Good job, Arya. Good job. One of the most disappointing things is that they took away this moment from any future impact. I was barely impacted by this moment, and thinking back on it, I don't even remember how awesome it was to see Walter Frey die. All I remember is how ridiculous it was, the situation in which he died and when he did. It robbed the show of some great moments that they could have had later on, and that's what hurts the most. Right above Arya, number 12, we have Tormund Giantsbane! He's moving up one spot this week. Didn't have anything monumental. He might have had a line in there. We're not wildlings or we're not savages. But he kept his head low and he lived. And for this week, that's an achievement, to be honest. So Tormund, keep doing you. Keep leading those wildlings and growing out that red beard. You know I love you. Moving up at number 11 is the Night's King. The Night's King also moved up a spot. Still hasn't lost his army. Can apparently kill Benjen since he can't go south of the wall. And has to be getting close to that wall at this point. I mean, come on. That thing's got to be coming down halfway through next season, right? They're gonna wait all season, right? He's been near the wall since the start of season 3. Come on, dude. Get on a friggin' snowmobile. Do something. Buy some skis. You're going too slow. You got horses, don't you? Don't you? You don't even need to stop or sleep or eat. What's taking so long? Anyways. He's still out there, and I can't knock him for that. So he's in at number 11. Moving up to number 10, the Hound. I thought we'd get a little more from the Hound this episode. They seemed to kind of leave his allegiances up in the air last episode. They're like, hey, you could join us, the Brother Without Banners. He's like, maybe. And that's it. So I kind of want to write him in as with them because it means he's going north and everything fun's happening up north. But we'll just have to see. He's still alive. He's still awesome. And we need way more. Up at number 9, Brienne of Tarth. Still on that boat. Still on the boat. Turns out, boat's really slow. I mean, Varys can go from Dorne back across the Narrow Sea in the same episode. And Arya can get from Braavos to the Twins in one episode. But Brienne needs 3 episodes at least to go up a river. Yeah, at least. Same when she was with Jaime going down to King's Landing. It took her like a season to do that. If that was Arya, should have made that trip 5 times and killed 67 people. Up to number 8, Daenerys. The second highest climber this week. Daenerys finally did it, you guys. She's on the boats. She's got all the boats. She's got some practically full-grown dragons. She's got Unsullied. She's got Dothraki. She doesn't have the second sons because she knocked off some dead weight with Dario Naharis. Bye-bye. See you later. Good stuff. And, almost most importantly, she now has a hand of the queen. She now has Tyrion Lannister at her side. Can you imagine the welcoming home party Tyrion's going to get? He left Westeros a fugitive from the crown. He's coming back with dragons and mad queens and boats and horses and all sorts of stuff. It's going to be awesome. But I really like Daenerys. She's really making good decisions so far. She's had some seasons where she hasn't quite learned, but I'll give her this. When she said she'd stay a Marine and she learned how to rule, she did. She did learn a little bit how to rule. I mean, it's only really happened in the last 4 episodes. But she's deferring to other people's counsel, and she's heeding their advice and making calculated decisions. She's not always burning everything down. Apparently, she's not raping anymore, although I don't think the Dothraki will go for that. They're going to keep on raping, but whatever. And now she's on the boat. So she's in my top 10. What can I say? Thank you very much, Daenerys. I didn't think it, but at the start of this season, when you were taken by the Dothraki, I'm so glad you got to this point by the end, and now we can get into some really good stuff. And that's Daenerys at number 8, moving up 6 spots. And coming in at number 7, once again, Jaime Lannister. Got 2 good scenes from Jaime this week. He was interacting with the Freys and with Bronn in another fantastic Bronn scene where Bronn's like, wow, you get all the ladies, don't even have to try. And then he pawns off 2 ladies on Bronn, and he's like, alright, fine, I'll take it. And then he interacts with Walder Frey, and Frey's like, yeah, we're awesome, aren't we? I beat my guy, I beat my enemies, they're afraid of us. And he's like, they're afraid of the Lannisters. If we don't need you, we're dumping you. And then he takes off. And he gets back to King's Landing in the same episode. Wow, everyone's got these teleportation powers. It's really handy. Really handy. And I know, I'm sorry, I keep banging on about this. I don't usually bang on about this. It's not usually one of the things that really bothers me about the show, but when it happens to like 4 different characters, this drastic of movements in the same episode, I gotta rag on about it because it's easily one of the biggest flaws in the entire show. Other than whatever's happened to Arya's storyline at this point, because I can't even read that. But enough about that. Jaime Lannister. He came back to King's Landing to fire, to destruction, to the thing that he became the Kingslayer to stop this exact event from occurring. He stabbed the king in the back so that the wildfire wouldn't explode and kill everyone, and look what happened. So at this point, you got to think he's kind of turning against Cersei. I mean, good God. And Tommen's dead. He returns home to all his children dead and half the city burnt, and his girl on the throne. Like, I think this might be a turning point for Jaime. I think he might finally lose his faith in Cersei, which would be an amazing thing for his character to undergo, and I really want to see happen because he could be an honorable, good guy without her in the way. So that's Jaime at number 7. And just outside the top 5, falling out of the top 5 is Peter Baelish, a.k.a. Littlefinger, dropping 2 spots this week after one of his most glorious moments last week, helping the Starks take back Winterfell. He had them in his pocket. He had Sansa right there. He was ready to make his move and to be Warden of the East on the throne, Warden of the North. He could have had everything. Uh-oh, what's this? Oh gosh, guys are getting on their knees. Oh, people are pledging their swords. No, not to Jon Snow. Oh god, King of the North? What? I don't like that. Oh, crap. Oh, not a united North. Come on. Oh, frick. Oh, this backfired hard. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Oh man, Littlefinger got totally screwed over by the whole King of the North, because he knows a united North is the last thing he wants, especially if he's definitely not Warden of the North now, I'll tell you that much. He's going to have a pretty tough time getting on the Iron Throne now, considering it's basically just a Cersei dictatorship at this point with no kind of government left intact. He might just have to stay Warden of the East and just try to stay out of it at this point, because there's people coming from the south, there's monsters coming from the north, and Littlefinger's right in the middle of it all. But he had a chance to really gain some power this week. Sansa turned him down, and everything after that just went down in flames. So he ended up dropping out of the top 5. It was a tough choice, but the person right above him is just too damn likable and awesome and hilarious and a good fighter. And that man, first time in the top 5, is Bronn the Sellsword, moving up 1 spot. You know what it is. Bronn sitting at the table, Jaime's getting all the looks, but Bronn doesn't care because Bronn can get the girls if he really wants them. Hell, he'll get 2, it doesn't matter. That's the thing with Bronn. Bronn is amazing in any scene he's in with anyone who is with him. And at the end of the day, you kind of just got to look at it and say, well, maybe it's Bronn, maybe it's not who he's paired up with. Maybe they get advantages from being paired up with Bronn, because Bronn's awesome and alive. And for a guy who doesn't have a high name, that's a pretty amazing thing to be in Season 6 of Game of Thrones. Going on Season 7. I mean, he's a great fighter. He's sort of loyal. He's not really, though. I think the only person he could be loyal to is Tyrion. I think given the choice between Tyrion and a bag of gold, that's one of the only people I think he might choose over a bag of gold. We might see soon, who knows, because he's not with Daenerys right now, but it would be really awesome to see him just see Tyrion on the other side and just walk over there and switch sides, because I could totally see that happening. And I'd love for it to happen, because him and Tyrion are just a wonder to behold. One of the best tag teams in Game of Thrones. But that's Bronn getting in the top 5. Let's go, let's go. This is it. The moment we've all been waiting for. Number 4, Cersei Lannister. Moving up 7 spots. Something I didn't even think was possible. She had gone down, down, down the last 3-4 episodes, and I thought it was all coming to a close this week. I thought everything was just gonna fall apart for her. I mean, there's these theories of this wildfire, but I was like, that's too much. There's no way. That's crazy. That's like Arya. All these theories with Arya, but no, it happened. She pulled it off. Cersei Lannister killed all of her enemies, and it turns out in that scene a while back, she was talking to Olenna, and Olenna's like, you have no options. You basically have to fight your way out. Turns out she was right, and she gave her that terrible, terrible idea that ended up killing Marjorie and Mace and Kevan and Lancel and Loras and half the people in that block and everyone underground. And absolutely insane. Done in such a perfect, beautiful manner. The one thing that she didn't end up getting this week was her son. When he walked out that window, I mean, her heart went with him. I don't know what kind of love she has anymore. Maybe a little for Jaime, but at this point, she is cold as ice and just craving power. There's no other way to put it. She got it. She got on that Iron Throne, but at what cost? At what cost? At number 3, Varys the Spider. We got a Varys scene this week. Thank goodness. We finally got to know what he's doing, what this weird little boat trip was about the boats. Turned out not really about boats. Maybe there's some boats involved, but Varys was meeting with Olenna and the Sand Snakes. And that could be a real game changer for Daenerys, because if she can land on the southern shores of Dorne with them allied with her, she'll be able to walk right through Dorne, right up into the Eyrie, right up into Highgarden, since the Tyrells are now aligned with her, or what's left of them. She'll basically be able to walk right up to King's Landing and knock on the gates with her dragons and her full forces and the forces from the Tyrells and Sand Snakes and Dorne. That is insane. She can come at them from all angles. She'll have the boat. She'll be able to attack from the Blackwater Bay. She'll be able to come over the door. She'll be able to have the dragons flying overhead. This setup with Varys really has solidified the entire southern half of Westeros for her in one easy conversation. So once again, Varys behind the scenes has solidified a huge portion of the map and influenced a lot of the war to come. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to move him up, because he's just not quite as good as the man above him at number 2. Falling out of the top spot, Tyrion Lannister! What? How? Him? Really? Now, yes. Because you know why. Tyrion had a great episode. He finally achieved the perfect position for Tyrion Lannister. Hand of the Queen. This could not be a more perfect position for him. It was such an emotional moment when he was just looking back up at her with just gratification and teary eyes. It was amazing to see, because this is his position. He was perfect at it back in King's Landing around season 2, and now he can be this and just be hand of the Queen and give her counsel. He doesn't have to be the top guy, which he really never can because of the prejudices of people and seeing him as a dwarf. Now he can be in the perfect position where he doesn't have to be that iron fist on top, but he can provide counsel, and it will be there for Daenerys till his dying days, which is one of the main reasons that Daenerys has been able to succeed recently as she had. And I think with these two together, it's gonna be one of the most unstoppable forces. They've already got a road lined up all the way to King's Landing for them, and after that, it's just gonna get better. And at the spot right above him, the man who took his spot and the first time new number 1 on the Game of Thrones power rankings in his episode, because you know it was Jon Snow, or should I say Jon Stark. This was Jon's episode. First of all, we got the Bran vision. We finally got to see his parentage and who he is, and then transitioned beautifully right to the current day Jon Snow, the fully actualized Jon Snow with that beautiful hair, the goatee, the coat. Oh, he is just ready to roll. And then it turns out he's having this meeting. He's having this meeting with the northern houses. He's telling them, this battle ain't over, all right? Winter's just starting. We got to do some more stuff, guys. Don't go packing home yet. We got a lot more to do. And then Lyanna gives that rousing speech, and people start dropping to their knees, offering swords. King of the North, King of the North, King of the North. And I just can't ignore chants like that. I may say Tyrion may be my more liked character throughout the entire series of Game of Thrones. He's seen a lot more of the map than any other characters, but I can't ignore the monumental events that happened this episode. Whether it be the R+L=J or the King of the North, especially those two things together in the same episode, Jon cannot be denied, and he is on top of that throne. And something else that I've been thinking of is, if he's Rhaegar Targaryen's son, that means that he's the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, right? Because it goes Aerys, and then it would go to his eldest son, Rhaegar, and it would go through Rhaegar's children before it would ever get to Daenerys, even after Viserys, right? I mean, I think he'd have to be, like, actually named a Targaryen and a Stark, and I don't know how they could do that. I don't know if Bran has, like, a special piece of paper that proves it, because he just saw it in a vision. I don't know how he can get people to actually believe that. But if he could, technically, although it barely matters anymore because there's barely a government and it's not really the focus of where this show is going to end, technically, Jon would be in line for the Iron Throne. I mean, he would be the eldest son of Rhaegar and be the line for the Targaryens, which is pretty crazy to think, considering that he's been a bastard his entire life, and then he turns out he is the rightful king. Straight up fantasy cliche kind of George R.R. I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve, though, to pull that carpet out from under our legs, because there's no way he would give us that good of a story and that beautiful. Something has to go wrong. I guarantee it. But Jon's number one for the first time, and he deserved it. I mean, it's absolutely awesome to see him where he is right now. Everyone's in a really good position for the final 2, hopefully more, seasons of the Game of Thrones. And although Cersei is kind of winning the Game of Thrones right now, they've got a lot more to deal with, and I think we're about to get a lot more of the Night's King travel south and the battle with the undead in these last 2 seasons. So all that may have been for naught for Cersei. All of it may have been for naught. Let's just hope that Sam can find a book in that beautiful tower of books to help everyone live. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end, it means you really like these rankings, and I'm so glad you do. Please leave a like. Please subscribe if you want to see more of these. I'll be doing a couple more Game of Thrones videos in the meantime. Oh, it's going to be such a long time before next season starts. I can't even imagine. But the winds of winter are here, guys. You know what that means. You know the battle's coming. So subscribe if you want. Leave a comment. Who are some of your favorite characters? Do you guys think Rhaegar is really his dad? I mean, come on. Who else would Robert kill if he knew, as he said? But anyways, thank you so much. And please watch some of my other videos if you feel like it. I got this movie review up here. I've got the most former episode of Game of Thrones Power Rankings. And come back later for more. Anyways, this is Movie Mammoth signing off. Bye, guys and gals.